Hello and welcome back to another video. Thank you for watching the teaser at the beginning. I really hope you enjoyed that. And as you can see, we try to cosplay iconic characters from horror. So what we're gonna do today, I'm back with Haunted Hippie over my channel. And we have collabed before. If you haven't seen those videos, I will link them down below.
This happened.
Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Alright, so if you haven't watched those videos, I will link it down below. And also we have collab over Haunted Hippie channel where we talked about some unpopular horror opinions, and that video is quite tea. So definitely check that out. We're gonna talk about our top 10 horror movies related with possessions, demons, exorcists, all that kind of stuff. So definitely stay tuned for that. And you wanna do the intro together?
Oh yeah.
And welcome back to another video here on this channel, Royal Horror.
Jungle of love.
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna start from 10 to number 1. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about first some honorable mentions, and just before we start, remember this is our top 10 demons movies or that kind of stuff. If your favorite movie didn't make the list, that's okay. Maybe we haven't seen it, maybe we didn't like it, and that's okay. I'm sure you are not gonna like some movies, but it's fine. So, honorable mentions. What are your honorable mentions?
Okay, I have a couple because a few of them I'm like, are they considered demon movies? Because
yeah.
Okay, so honorable mention, my first one would be Insidious: The Last Key, which is Insidious 4. Not a super strong movie, but I love the character of Elise, so learning about her backstory and her family was really interesting to me. Definitely not a favorite demon of mine, the key hand demon. Played by Javier Botet though, which he's still amazing, you know, but just as a concept, like, not my fave.
I have, okay, my first honorable mention will be The Ring from like the remake.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that would be considered demons or like
I think
ghosts
so.
and stuff, because what else Samara can be?
Yeah, because they say like there's something wrong with this girl, so she's like not just a girl.
Like, that person, I mean, Tamara literally kills you after 7 days, so that I don't know.
It's like a curse. It's gotta be like, you know.
If it's a curse, it has to be with demons. So I think that's why it's one of my honorable mentions.
Okay, another one of my honorable mentions is Jennifer's Body.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a movie that I didn't really enjoy that movie that much, but for like all the subtext in it and like the thematic elements and stuff, I really did enjoy that. And like, I think it is a movie that I'll rewatch. I'm a really big fan of Megan Fox, and like it has its moments. Like it's, you know, it's just I just didn't find it to be like a really strong story, but it's still an honorable mention.
My next honorable mention will be Annabelle 1 and Annabelle 2, Annabelle Creation. So the first two Annabelle's movies. And the Conjuring universe is not a secret that is mainly based about demons and possessions and stuff. The first two Annabelles, they work for me. I think the second Annabelle is better than the original one, but the demon in those movies is actually creepy. Mm-hmm. And especially in Annabelle Creation, because the kills in Annabelle Creation are great. I don't know, I enjoy the Annabelle movies.
Yeah, I would say, I didn't put it on my list, but I would say the first Annabelle is an honorable mention for me. I would say, and then I'll talk about the second one in a little bit.
All right.
My next honorable mention is A Nightmare on Elm Street, because, again, like, that franchise is real messy, so it's kind of unclear exactly what Freddy is, because in the 6th movie, I believe that's kind of when they change up the lore, and they kind of claim that, like, sleep demons are what caused Freddy to exist, so I'm just not clear on that. I enjoy the first movie, I enjoy the 4th movie, and I enjoy parts of the remake, to be honest, which is kind of a hot take. So yeah, but that one's just an honorable mention, because like, I'm not really sure about that.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Freddy, but I do think it has to be related with curse or with demons, possessions, because it's that the guy is not a human being, so...
Yeah. Exactly.
My next and last honorable mention, I don't know if I remember watching this film, but I do remember like being a ghost wise, and I tried to search online to double check, and it said that, but I'm not too sure, and that is Audition from '99.
Oh, I haven't seen that, but I want to.
Audition from '99, the Japanese movie. I do remember that it has to go with this topic, but because I haven't seen that movie in so long, and because I was not too sure, I couldn't include it in my top 10. Let's start with my number 10. And my number 10 will have to go to Jennifer's Body from 2009.
Nice.
Now, it's not a secret that I grew up with this movie, and as I said in my previous video, that movie kind of defines me, and if you want to know why, definitely check that video out. And that movie knew how to combine demons with teenagers, or with like young people, in a good way, not in a very extremely cheesy way, and I think that's why I liked it. And I think Megan Fox, she works perfectly as a demon and stuff, so I don't know, I love this movie so much, and I think it's a great demon movie, especially for like beginners into horror.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say so. My number 10 is kind of a weird one, and like that's why I had to make it known that there were movies that I wanted to put on my list but I couldn't talk about without spoiling.
Yep.
Because my number 10 is Krampus, which is a dark comedy. It's a Christmas movie with Adam Scott and Toni Collette.
Yep.
It actually has a really good cast. Yeah, that one is just like, it's so goofy. I have a really good time with it because I love dark comedies, to be honest. So yeah, it's such a weird, like, it's a very unique concept, and the movie is kind of messy, and like the ending it's not great. Like the movie, it's kind of a mess, but like I just have so much fun with it, and so that's why it made its way onto this list.
I watched that movie, but I personally didn't enjoy it too much. I think that's why I didn't include it, and
Yeah.
I completely forgot that movie had to be related with demons and possessions or whatever. So
Yeah.
maybe that's why I didn't include it.
Which like maybe it's loosely a demon movie. Oh shit! Our light went off.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
My number 9 will have to go to the Amityville Horror, the remake
Oh, from 2005.
from 2005, the
Okay,
Ryan Reynolds
okay.
movie. And that's the only film that I enjoy from this franchise, in my opinion. I have watched this franchise, but this is the only movie that I enjoy, and I think it's because of the acting. I haven't watched it in way too long, but I do remember being quite scared as a kid watching these possessions, exorcisms, kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think that like Ryan Reynolds is one of my favorite actors of all time, pretty much, and Melissa George I think is criminally underrated. She's also in 30 Days of Night. She's in Triangle. She's done really good stuff. My number 9 is Annabelle Creation. So you already talked about that one. I like that one a lot more than the original Annabelle. I like both of them though, but Annabelle Creation, I feel like they kind of up the stakes having these children, and especially our lead character. She's disabled.
She did amazing.
Yeah, she has polio, which is really cool that they featured. We have a main character who's like disabled, and her acting was phenomenal. I think all the kids in that movie, they did a really good job. And like the scares, they really worked for me. I haven't watched that movie, I think, in like over a year now, but I mean, that wasn't that long ago. If my memory serves me well, that is one of the scariest movies in the Conjuring universe for me.
Yeah, I do remember watching that movie for the first time at the cinemas, and I actually felt scared because the scares worked. However, after rewatching it 2, 3, 4 times, they don't work for me, but I guess that's how it works with demons movies.
Yeah, I guess so. I try to like space out how often I rewatch movies too,
that's
to
true.
like, you know, I try to wait like a couple years between the ones that I really, really like, just so, you know.
So they work.
Yeah, so they work.
My number 8 will have to go to Veronica from 2017, the Spanish film. Have you watched that one?
I haven't seen it. I think it's on Netflix.
It's a Netflix original, I believe, and I really like that movie because first of all, it gave me Rick vibes, and it's not a fan footage, but also because the acting is phenomenal. The era, I think, is in the 80s, 90s, where the movie is allocated. And I think the exorcisms, they work, and the main actress, I don't know, I think her storyline is very enjoyable. I don't know, I fell in love with the characters. I was rooting from them. I really hope you like the movie.
Okay, I'll watch it. It's been on my watch list for a long time now. Okay, my number 8 is actually going to be surprising for a lot of people, I think, if you know me and you know my channel. My number 8 is The Ring, which is the remake from 2002, which it's common knowledge for my audience that like that's one of my favorite horror movies of all time. It's tied with Ready or Not for like favorite horror movie of all time for me. But the reason why it made number 8 is because like typically if I'm in the mood for like a haunting, possession, demon movie, it's not gonna be The Ring. Like it still made number 8, which is still decently high. Like it made the list. But that's really just because like it's one of my favorite movies of all time.
My number 7 will have to go to Lights Out from 2016.
Nice.
And that movie, the first time that I watched this movie, it wasn't in the cinemas, it wasn't like on DVD. And I actually like felt quite creeped out because of like this creature of this demon. Even though the movie has some cheesiness, and I think that's what makes you feel relieved from the film, so you don't feel stressed out the whole time. But yeah, I did enjoy this. I did enjoy the storyline. I think having a demon that only attacks the shadows, I think it works. I don't know.
Lights Out is my number 7 too.
Oh, really?
Oh my god! Wow!
Hey.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a coincidence.
Yeah, it had to. I almost put that one higher up on my list because every time that I watch that movie, like, I have a very visceral reaction, and so far, every time that I've watched it, I've had nightmares. So it's not necessarily that I can't sleep afterwards, but I have a really hard time. I think that movie, it's, you know, would I go so far as to say it traumatized me? Probably not, but I come in with a bias because I had a very crippling fear of the dark as a child that has lasted much longer than it should have, to be honest, and sometimes it still creeps back. Like I'm not really scared of the dark anymore, but like sometimes after certain movies and stuff, like it'll still hit me and I'll be like back to my childhood days, you know what I mean? And that movie does it for me.
My number 6 will have to go to The Cleanings Hour.
The Cleansing
The
Hour?
Cleansing Hour. Have you watched that movie?
No.
But that movie works for me, and I think the practical effects in that movie work. Like that movie has great practical effects, and I think the characters are very enjoyable as well. I don't want to give any spoilers, but the demons, I guess I can call, they look very creepy.
I haven't seen it, unfortunately. But my number 6 would be The Conjuring.
The original.
The original.
Ooh.
So I love The Conjuring, though. I like from here on, I love all of these movies that like have made it, you know, well, I think I love like all my top 10 movies. Anyways, but the original Conjuring, it's just the fact that like the case doesn't interest me as much. I really, really love the style of the movie, and like you can definitely tell it's a James Wan film. Like it's gorgeous. All the acting is really good. I think the story is good, but where it loses me is like in the exorcism kind of moments, because exorcism movies are not my favorite.
Quite cheesy.
And it just doesn't really work for me because it's just like very loud, and that's not my favorite thing. So there are just a lot of parts in this movie that are like not made for me. So that's why it's a little bit lower, but still obviously an excellent movie. Still love it. So it's at number 6.
I love the Conjuring universe. The first movie is what started it all, and it will always be iconic. I love the witch from that movie. I love the Warrens. And I will always be thankful because thanks to these movies that we have this iconic franchise. My number 5 will be Pulse from 2001, the Japanese movie.
Oh my god.
That movie is quite long. It's like an hour and 50 minutes, almost 2 hours. And to be honest, I think the concept is so beautiful and so unique, especially for the era. Like that movie is literally early 2000s. And like I've said many times, this movie, and on top of many movies, is the reason why 2000s is not cheesy. This movie is actually creepy. I actually felt scared watching this as a kid, or even as a teenager. Even like I rewatched this movie maybe 2 years ago, and I was actually feeling like quite creeped out. And the atmosphere is like quite dark, and I think that was what helps the movie to get built up. So then I think you should definitely check Pulse out, because I don't know, you like 2000s, and this movie is like out of the common in this possessions demons topic.
I have it on DVD, so like I need to watch it. Like so many people have said that it's really good. Okay, moving on to my number 5, which would be Sinister. Sinister had to make my list because it might not be like my favorite story because it's so dark, but that is one of the reasons why it's one of the scariest movies that I've ever seen in my life, and it works on me every single time that I watch it. And just the concept of it and like the videotapes and everything, I do think it's really, really unique. Bagul as a demon, maybe not himself is like one of the scariest things I've ever seen, but it's what he does. And I won't get into it just in case there's anyone that hasn't seen it.
My number 4 is Sinister.
Oh my god! Wow!
Nice.
Sinister, I've watched this movie like 3 times because I know what the movie is about, and I don't really like to watch what happens in the movie with the characters that we know, especially the end.
It's
the
hard.
end is like, whoa, I did not see that coming. And if you have watched Kylie's video about unpopular opinions, you know why I like the ending of this movie.
So my number 4 is one that I thought I was gonna put higher up on my list, but that would be Insidious, the first Insidious movie.
Alright.
Yeah, so it's just iconic. Insidious is one of my favorite franchises of all time. I love the first movie so much because of the family. It was what really set off like the 2010s. The whole decade was definitely influenced by Insidious. It paved the way for like all these other movies like Conjuring, Sinister, Woman in Black, things like that. So, you know, respect where it is deserved. I think that for the most part, it really does hold up well. There are some elements that are just like really loud and kind of like in your face that are a little bit cheesy to look back on. But for the most part, like the way the movie sets up the atmosphere, I think is just, it's so unbelievable. It's phenomenal.
It's one of those movies that even though it came out like 11 years ago, that movie, if you watch it like maybe a random day at night, it might scare you. Because that movie has one of the creepiest demons, and even though social media has ruined a great jump scare, I think that demon is terrifying, especially the scene. You know which scene I'm talking about because of that soundtrack, and I think you mentioned it in one of your videos.
Through the window.
Oh my god, that scene is terrifying, and that demon looks creepy as hell.
Yep.
And my number 3, we are coming into the last 3 places. So, my number 3 is Insidious 2. And I didn't include Insidious 1. I love the movie so much, but I don't know. I love the movie, but Insidious 2, for me, it impacted me more because it's one of the first few movies that I watched by myself, and that really terrified me. Insidious 1, I watched it like with friends, and I always have rewatched it with friends. But Insidious 2 will always be on my mind because I watched it by myself, and that movie scared me. And
God.
especially the end, just the effects, and just the whole storyline. I love how it is connected, and I don't know, that movie really terrified me.
I don't know if I could watch any Insidious movie by myself. I don't think I could. I've never watched them by myself.
Even right now?
I don't think so, because those movies are really, really effective for me, which is weird because I don't believe in demons in real life. So I don't know why the movies work so well for me. Anyways. Okay, top 3. My number 3 is a movie from, I think, 2012. It's called The Possession. So this is a movie that I have rewatched so many times because it just works for me every single time. I've probably rewatched that movie like 5 times, I think, because one of my deepest and very irrational fears, mind you, is moths, and moths are like a huge element. They're like one of the main horror elements of this movie, which I just think is like so unique, because I was thinking that like I would make a horror story about moths if nobody else did, but then this movie exists, so there's less of a need because this movie, like the horror elements are really, really phenomenal.
My number 2 will be The Nun. No, I'm joking.
I was gonna say The Conjuring 2.
My number 2 is The Conjuring 2, and this movie is iconic. This movie is one of the most terrifying movies I've ever seen in my life. This movie, I don't know how many times I've rewatched this movie, because every time that I rewatch this movie, I feel kind of like creeped out of a scare because the jump scares in this movie really work. Violet is iconic. I watched this movie for the first time at the cinemas, and I don't know, I will always love this movie. The storyline is impressive. I love how the plot twist works with Violet. So yeah, Conjuring 2 will always be on my heart. One of the best demon movies ever made, and I will always appreciate it.
That's my number 2 too.
Oh
Oh my god!
Beautiful.
It had to be. Yeah, I love that movie every single time. I'm still waiting for my Crooked Man movie, which, like, as more time goes on, I want it less and less. But The Conjuring 2 is just, it has, like, the most iconic demons, like, the most iconic characters, I think. And not just the demons, but Billy or whatever. Like,
that antagonist, yeah.
Oh my god, when he would possess the girl, like, he scared me to no end. Every time that I watch the movie, like, it doesn't get old, it still scares me every time, which is just, like, really impressive, because once you know what's coming, like, things should generally be less scary, but they're not. It's just, it really is truly, like, one of the most effective, like,
It
great.
really works. It works.
Yeah.
And this movie, my number one. Do you want to guess my number one?
Dude, I don't even, like, I'm terrible at guessing. I don't know how. Wait. Think. Okay, I don't know.
Okay, my number one is Youuu, The Grudge, the Japanese
I
movie.
should have known that.
Youuu, I will always love Youuu, The Grudge, the Youuu universe, Youuu, The Curse. These movies are so effective, and this Youuu, The Grudge is one of the most terrifying films I've ever seen in my life, if not the most. And it's because this movie has aged perfectly, in my opinion, in my life, and I love the demon, I love the characters, I loved the creepiness behind this character, how realistic it is, and I love, for example, the Netflix series called Youuu Originals. I love how they're explaining. This movie is the main example of that. You don't have to show a demon with red eyes attacking the characters to be creepy, because this movie barely shows the demon, but when it does, it's terrifying. First, but Youuu, the original, the Japanese one from 2000 and 2001, is my favorite, and for me the best demonic movies of all time.
I still have not seen that one, but I know I have to watch it now.
Yeah.
So my number one is probably going to be a little bit basic. Insidious 2.
Insidious 2, oh, okay.
Is my number one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Insidious 2, like, I guess maybe that's a hot take, but I like the second one more than the first one, which you had the second one and not the first one on your list.
Mm-hmm.
The second one, I just feel like builds on the story of the first one in such a way that I'm like, what other direct sequel has done it like that? Besides maybe, like, I mean, I don't know. I like Child's Play 2 and, like, Terminator 2 more than the original movies, but still, this one, like, in terms of storyline, like,
It works.
how cohesive it is and how interwoven it is with the first movie, and like all the callbacks, and like how just like how they wove it together, I think is so beyond brilliant. One reason why I love the first two Insidious movies so much is because the family I just hold so dear to my heart. I love Rose Byrne and Patrick Wilson, and the boys, like, they're so cute. And so because I love this family so much, it makes the stakes feel unbelievably high. And so you really do, like, care what happens to them, and that's why those movies are so scary to me personally. And also just, like, such a unique concept, as you mentioned, and definitely, like, you know, paved the way for the whole 2010s. Insidious 2 is my favorite one of the franchise.
And just let us know in the comment section below, what do you think about tops? Let us know if you agree with number one. Let us know which movies you haven't seen, and recommend us if you think we haven't heard your movies. So I will leave our social medias, Kylie's channel, our collabs that we have made in London, blogs, etc., all that kind of stuff for you to check it out. It's so much fun, and we will see you in the next video. Have a nice and active week, and we will see you soon.
Bye.
Bye bye.